And the show begins now. Here's your host, Audrey Dahlgren.
Happy Wednesday. How are we doing today? Alex, how are you?
Doing good, Aud. How about you?
I'm super. I'm fantastic. I cannot complain. I hope I make it through the show. I think I'll be able to, but for all those listening out there, I just got my second dose of the vaccine today. So all is well right now. Just chugging water and making sure that, staying hydrated so that nothing bad happens because got a long day ahead. So.
Yeah, and from what I've heard too, I think if it does get bad, it'll probably go south a little bit later tonight. So I think you got some time regardless.
So everybody who is tuning in at 11 o'clock, make sure you really watch tonight. No, kidding. Well, this is the hashtag Wednesday Wisdom Show. And before we get into the golf talk, I have to share my quote of the day. So here it is. All you need is good energy and good people. Short, sweet, to the point. If you have some wisdom you'd like to bestow upon us, you can always do so by putting it on my Facebook page, The Audrey Dahlgren Show, or on Twitter at Dahlgren Show. And don't forget, you can always listen live to each of my episodes by downloading the Spotlight Radio Network One Touch app. Alex, before we get into, like I said, we are waiting for Justin Rose. We are going to talk a lot of golf with him because obviously the Rocket Mortgage Classic is taking place in Detroit starting tomorrow through Sunday. But there's been a lot of other festivities that took place yesterday on the course, again today on the course. And so while we wait for him, what are you doing this weekend? Do you have any fun plans for the 4th of July?
Yeah, so as we mentioned yesterday, Spotlight will be down for the next week. We'll be shut down. So yeah, I'm actually headed up to my parents' cottage in Elk Lake. Me and my fiance will be up there from Friday until the next Saturday, I believe, either Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, so we'll be there for a little over a week, just hanging out, unplugging. Just enjoying the water and all the things that come with that.
Yeah, you get to ski, maybe slalom.
Yeah, and it looks like the water's, I mean, not the water, but it looks like the temperature is going to be pretty nice. It's going to ramp right up back up to the high 70s, low 80s next week after, a little cold spell. I think tomorrow's only supposed to be a high of like 68 or something like that. So it'll be good. We'll get nice warm weather next week to enjoy the 4th of July week and weekend. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. What about you?
Yeah, going to Traverse City.
Nice. Nice.
Not
too far away then.
No, yeah, not too bad. Up just a couple, 3 hours.
Yeah, no, actually Elk Lake's about 20 minutes or so from Traverse City. So it's like the same route. I think you just go a little further.
Yeah. Traverse City, got a lot of family that live up there. And, it's a big weekend, too, because my cousin is doing a gender reveal for her baby. Her and her husband, they're having a baby. So it's their first child. So they're doing a gender reveal. So family fun all weekend. And we are going to be talking golf today. And in case you haven't heard or seen, the PGA Tour pros have invaded Detroit Golf Club for this year's Rocket Mortgage Classic. There was a lot going on there yesterday with the practice round taking place, as well as the Area 313 Celebrity Scramble. Today is the Pro-Am, and then, of course, the opening round of the Rocket Mortgage Classic will be Thursday, with the tournament running through Sunday. That's when the champion will be crowned. And I want to go over to, while we wait, as I mentioned, Justin Rose from WXYZ is going to be our guest. Not the Justin Rose, the Tour Pro.
That would have been a nice get.
I know, right? Well, it's interesting, though, because yesterday, and we're going to ask Jay Rose about this, but, he was roaming about the course, and he always, I think Jay Rose would love to be a professional golfer. I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
And, but he was walking around and trying to pitch to Phil Mickelson how the other Justin Rose was his evil twin. So I'm really interested to hear this story once we're able to get Jay Rose on. But really big weekend in Detroit. And what's really cool about this too is that, they did bring the Celebrity Scramble, the Area 313 Celebrity Scramble back this year. Last year in 2018, 2019, that would have been 2 years ago, but is when the Rocket Mortgage Classic, obviously, it debuted. And in that year was also the first running of this Celebrity Scramble. And so Tom Izzo played in it in 2018 and 2019. And then obviously they didn't do it last year because of COVID-19. And he played in it again yesterday. And he was teamed up with Phil. And so, what a duo right there to be able to see two greats in each of their, for respective sports on the course together. But Izzo was mentioning how he learned a lot from Phil, and, it was cool to hear him and Bryson DeChambeau, talk back and forth about their game plan. And he almost kind of referred to it, too, as, well, it's such an individual sport, so he gives them so much more credit because you're way more at one with your thoughts, sort of like only when in a basketball situation when you're at the free throw line.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no one there to pick you up. I mean, if you're having, you're struggling a little bit that day, I mean, your shot's not falling or whatever, you can facilitate to others, you can work hard on defense, and your teammates can pick you up in certain aspects that you're falling in. Not in golf, not in track. I mean, you're on your own, and exactly, you're within your own thoughts. And gosh, golf probably out of all those other sports is such a mental game. I mean, I can't even imagine, especially at that level. I mean, just the walks to your ball. I mean, in your own in big situations. I mean, it's the game. It's such a slower pace, so you have so much more time to think about each little detail. So. I mean, it's a mental game, that's for sure.
It really is. And, James Pyatt spoke to it, how sometimes he kind of likes being at one when he's on the course, just because, but other times too, you could definitely get yourself into a really sticky situation if you let your mind get too wrapped up in what's happening.
I'd be like Happy Gilmore. I wouldn't want the dead silence either. Like when I'm putting and stuff, and there's a huge crowd and everyone just goes dead silent. I feel like that would be even more nerve wracking than when it gets dead silent at the free throw line. Because I'm in the fan like chat. I would turn around to everybody like just talk amongst yourselves. Just keep some noise going. I do not want the dead silence. I don't know how that is any better than the loud noise. To me, I feel like it gets you in your own head even more.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
No. It makes a lot of sense. And the other cool thing about this Area 313 Celebrity Scramble is, of course, it's for charity. Yesterday, Jason Day's squad was the team who won. It's essentially it's a 3-hole exhibition for charity from holes 14 to 16 at DGC. And it was also rated in 2018 and 2019 the best special event on the PGA Tour. And so that's really cool for, the city of Detroit and what they're trying to do when it comes to the Rocket Mortgage Classic and that digital divide, close that digital divide. And, but yeah, best special event on the tour. So everybody in Detroit was really happy to have that back yesterday. And this field too, while we're talking about this, so the 6 captains for yesterday's Area 313 Celebrity Scramble were Mickelson, DeChambeau, Bubba Watson, Harold Varner III, Jason Day, and Ricky Fowler, who is basically the Rocket Mortgage Classic golf ambassador. And so you had those players, like I said, 6 captains of the teams, and then they each had 4 captain 4-player squads. And so the celebrities were Izzo, Barry Sanders, Larry Fitzgerald, Lexi Thompson, and Maurice Allen. And so, in case you were wondering, FYI, before we get into our conversation with Justin Rose. And I don't know, is he here? Okay. Alex is calling him, or he's on the phone with him right now. And it looks like Jay Rose, he has a lot to tell us because he just got done interviewing Calvin Johnson, so we'll be sure to ask him about that. But yeah, the Rocket Mortgage Classic does start on Thursday and then Friday. And then the other people, this is a very unique and great field also too, because there's a little bit of a theme to it. Sorry, I keep looking at you, Alex, because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, no, I don't. Justin, I guess, has a commitment that he has to get pulled away to. I think he texted you just a minute ago, so I'm not sure where you want to bounce from there. Maybe we take a little quick break and try to reshuffle.
I got a couple things I'll talk about the tournament, and then we'll take that quick break. But yes, so his obligation is he has to interview Calvin Johnson real quick. So
that's a pretty important obligation, I would say.
Yeah, Calvin Johnson is playing in the Pro-Am today, so that makes it makes a lot of sense. So let's go back to the 156 player field, though. So it's obviously going to be a very big weekend for Phil Mickelson after he was able to win the 2021 PGA Championship in May. And then you do have DeChambeau, who won this tournament in 2020, as in the Rocket Mortgage Classic. And also, these two guys are both past major winners. And that's what the theme of this year's field sort of is. There are 13 total past major winners in Detroit competing. We mentioned Phil, Bryson. Then there's Hideki Matsuyama, Patrick Reed, Keegan Bradley, Jason Day, Jason Duffner, Lucas Glover, Webb Simpson, Jimmy Walker, Bubba Watson, Danny Willett, and Gary Woodland. So, Alex, there's a really good field in Detroit. If you're not going up north to participate in the 4th of July holiday festivities, being at Detroit Golf Club would be a great weekend for that, because you'd get to see all these guys compete, and it would be it's fantastic. It's a fantastic field. There are also two local guys in this year's field. Former Oakland and Jackson native Brian Stewart returns for a third time after posting top 30 finishes in each of the first two tournaments, while former Michigan State golfer Ryan Brehm is also in the field. And this could be a big weekend for him, too, because he has missed 7 cuts in a row on the PGA Tour. And if he could make the cut in Michigan, it just would be a real feel-good story. He's from Traverse City. He's been struggling to make the cut. A lot of success at Michigan State. So that's kind of who we're going to be keeping our eyes on.
Yeah, no question.
Great field. So, yeah, let's take that break. And then hopefully by the time that we do that, Jay Rose will be done interviewing Calvin Johnson. Gosh, I can't believe he's putting my show off for Calvin Johnson. Oh, no, sorry. That's sarcasm, people. All right, we'll be back.
Thinking of a new air conditioning unit for your home? Hi, Peggy Doty with Doty Mechanical. A new Carrier high-efficiency AC unit will lower your energy usage and increase your home comfort. Current Carrier Cool Cash offers and available utility rebates mean your savings have never been better.
Call Doty Mechanical today at 327-7777 or visit us at dotymechanical.com for your free estimate. For heating and cooling, the names to know, Doty Mechanical and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
Google out with a new website called Find Food Support that offers resources on how to locate free and affordable food in the U.S. all in one place. One of the more useful facets of the site is a new Google Maps tool that can point you to the nearest food bank, food pantry, or school lunch program pickup site. Google worked with No Kid Hungry, Food Finder, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture to add 90,000 places with free food support across 50 states to Google Maps. YouTube will have its name on a new event center in Southern California. YouTube Theater will be right next to the LA Rams SoFi Stadium, south of downtown, and will host concerts, creator events, esports competitions, and some community shows. Amazon has given Music Unlimited subscribers up to 6 months of free Disney Plus. Amazon's music streaming service will set you back at least $8 a month as a Prime member or $10 as a non-Prime user. Tech Report, Larry Olson, NBC News Radio.
Live across the Great Lakes State, you're connected to Michigan's most engaging and influential radio and television program, Michigan's Big Show, starring Michael Patrick Shields.
Great to be with you, Michael Patrick. You're the show I would want to be on. Forget those other ones.
Michael Patrick, it's always a pleasure to be on the air with the King of the Airwaves. Thanks for having me on again.
That's a very good question.
Those are all great questions. Good morning.
Thank you. Michigan's Michael Patrick Shields.
Moderna says its 2-dose vaccine is showing promise in a lab setting, protecting against COVID-19 variants. That includes the highly contagious Delta variant. The company's announcement comes as the Delta strain spreads rapidly all around the world, including in the U.S. Mayor Bill de Blasio says New York City employees, they can go unmasked after the July 4th break, provided they've been vaccinated. De Blasio calls it the right time to do this, adding that the goal is basically to have offices back to normal by September.
We want to do this because it's the right time to do it. People are ready. We want to do this to set the pace for everyone else.
He notes that vaccinated city workers also don't have to socially distance. Unvaccinated workers will continue to mask up and socially distance. Health updates. Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
I'm Tony Cuthbert with your Spotlight Sports Update. The Tigers and Indians will play a straight doubleheader today after last night's game was rained out. Detroit sends Jose Urena to the hill against Cleveland's Cal Quantrill in the first game. In the series finale, Willie Peralta gets the nod for the Tigers while the Indians counter with Logan Allen. Lou Williams scored 21 points as the Hawks took down the Bucks 110-88 in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals in Atlanta. Hawks star Trae Young was out as he battles a foot injury, while Bucks superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo exited the game in the second half with a hyperextended left knee. The series is tied at 2 games apiece. Game 5 will be Thursday in Milwaukee. Tonight, the Suns look to close out the Clippers in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals in Los Angeles. And the Lightning will look to take a commanding lead in the Stanley Cup Final tonight when they face the Canadiens in Game 2 from Florida. Tampa Bay won Game 1 5-1 over Montreal.
Welcome back to the Audrey Dahlgren Show.
You want to win, don't you?
Well, I think I'd really rather try to beat him honestly.
The Spotlight Radio Network.
All right. As you just heard there, welcome back. And we do have Justin Rose on with us now. Jay Rose, I cannot believe that you would blow me off for Calvin Johnson.
You know, there's very few people on the planet I would do that to. But, you know, I mean, come on. Actually, he's actually coming up on 18 right now, hitting his approach shot to the green. So I'll get him afterwards, and I'll let him know that I squeezed you in just before him. So you did take precedence today.
Wow, that is I feel so honored. So anyway, well, I know you're out there, you roam the course, you were there yesterday at DGC, and number one, I've got to know, how did that conversation with Phil Mickelson go as you tried to describe to him that you were the better Justin Rose other than the PGA Tour Pro?
That's right. He was at the 313 Celebrity Challenge, and he was walking kind of by himself, and it looked like he was kind of lost a little bit, and we were hanging out in the corner, and it was just like he was right there. And I said, "Hey, Phil, I'm a big fan." He's like, "Hey, thanks, man." I said, "Hey, by the way," and I showed him my badge. I said, "You see that name there, right?" He goes, "Oh, no way." I go, "Yeah, tell that other guy, the evil twin, better step his game up a little bit, representing the brand." And he was like, I'll let him know. So he was really cool, really gracious. Obviously, he's riding such a high right now after his last month and a half, winning PGA Championship, and here he is in Detroit, and I think this is another opportunity for him to continue to prove that he's one of the best players, even though that he's one of the older players. I don't know this tournament stop isn't a major. It's not one of the more well-known tour events, but it's one of those ones that's growing in popularity with the players. Obviously, Bryson winning it last year has really kind of catapulted this tournament up to the next level. So they're hoping that another big name wins this, but at the same time, it's a good field. It's a deep field, and anybody could really walk away with it here.
Yeah, it is a really star-studded field. And going off of that, why do you think that all of these the biggest names in golf, like these guys, have decided to start committing to play in the Rocket Mortgage Classic? Because it is only in its third year.
Right. Well, I think the one thing is, Jason Langwell, the tournament director here, and Rocket Mortgage, Mark Hollis actually is on the helping with planning a lot of the events and some of the things for the players. And they've really pulled out all the stops to make this kind of a player's destination. And I say that in the sense that they're supplying caddies and players their own cars. And that's not something that every tour does. They're doing other things where they're putting them up in different hotels and letting them rent some houses. And they're helping make this more manageable for the players so that when they come here, everything's pretty much taken care of for them. And that's not typically the case at a lot of the other events on tour. Not to say that they're not taken care of, but at the same time, they're just doing those little extra things that make you feel, wow, everything's taken care of for me. I don't have to worry about, this, that, or the other thing. My family can come. They're taken care of. There's events for them to do. And it's just more of a friendly event for the players. And I think that's really registered with them. And they talk about that. When the first year it happened, it had a decent field. And I remember talking to some of the guys last year on Zoom and stuff. They said, I didn't play in it, but I'm going to, because the players told me what an event and what a great experience it is for me and my caddy and our families.
Yeah, and Phil Mickelson was one of those guys, I believe. I mean, in terms of the excitement that he has to be able to play in this tourney this year. He didn't get the opportunity to do so last year. And when he won the PGA Championship in May and then decided to commit, it just created such a buzz around the Rocket Mortgage Classic as well. And so can you let us in more too on his excitement of being able to play in Detroit and what it just means in general to have him in Detroit and just kind of backing this tournament?
Well, if you look at it, he was a younger, obviously he's 48 years old right now, but think about when the Buick Open was still around at Warwick Hills. He was a young player, an up-and-comer, and that was a tournament for him because Tiger ran it, and Tiger was a big partner for Buick back then. So that event usually got some of that. So Phil knows Michigan golf. He understands the passion for it here. So for Detroit to get an event back and get a couple of years under its belt, for him to kind of hear what other players were saying about it, for him to see, this course, Donald Ross design, and to realize, hey, I might be able to play here. He made it a priority this year, and that's great, especially coming off of, what he did in the PGA Championship. So I just think that, talking to him, he's loving what the tournament is doing for Detroit, what it's doing for Change the Course Initiative, all of the fundraising opportunities, the diversity efforts that they're trying to implement here, and hope that those trickle on to other tour events as well. I mean, Rocket Mortgage is really kind of leading the charge when it comes to those types of initiatives. Not every tournament has them, but Rocket's really trying to do things in a different way.
And I saw, too, that you had a chance to speak with Ricky Fowler yesterday, who is the golf ambassador for the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Why does he believe in this tournament and what RMC is trying to do, as you mentioned, in the city, especially, too, when it comes to the digital divide?
Yeah, Ricky was kind of the first flagship name, really, that they had when they started putting this and trying to identify who they wanted to be. He's just a popular player among young players with his swag and stuff. His game hasn't really been there, and he recognizes that. He understands that. But, he has a good partnership with Rocket Mortgage, and Quicken Loans. And so when they approached him to be kind of one of the flag bearers for this event, he really took that as like, no one's really done that for me before. And I think that, his popularity is still, he's still a household name in the golf world. So I think that he recognizes what they're doing. And I talked to him about that too. And he's like, just to talk to some of the people and some of the organizers for different charities and stuff about what kind of impact the money that is made during this weekend helps with just giving people basic needs that they need. The technological advances in the city, people without internet, people without cable, and kind of get a level playing field back to the city of Detroit and helping push that forward. I mean, he was definitely somebody who was like, I get that. I understand that. And I love that it's happening here.
And I think, too, that's why so many of them love to play in the celebrity scramble as well as the celebrities do. There's the camaraderie piece there. And, who doesn't love, the best in other sports playing with, the best in their sport? And give us more of a rundown of what the scramble was like last night and how maybe excited everybody was to have it back since they weren't able to put it on last year, the scramble portion.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was a little bit less turnout than we had seen in the first year, but that's partially by design. They don't have as many tickets they can give out in the open passes for everything like that. So just talking to Phil talking about, I got to play with Barry Sanders, and Barry Sanders is a guy that's like, he's a Hall of Famer in his own right, and it's just crazy to think that. I'm watching him hit, he's watching me hit, and we can have this mutual respect amongst one another. It was just cool. And Izzo's there, and of course Izzo doesn't play a lot of golf, so he was joking with me. He's like, I've swung golf club twice. Like I'm not good. And he was on Bryson's team, or on Phil's team. So Phil's hitting bombs, and Izzo's like, I'm not going to hit. Like, why would I hit? Like, it ain't going to be better than that. So it was fun, but just the fact that they bring more awareness to the 3-1-3 challenge, which of course is an eagle, a hole in one, and then a birdie, and the 3 stretch of holes in the back 9. If a player does that successfully over the 3 days or the 4 days, $313,000 will be made to a charity of their choosing. That's one of those charities that's partnered with the Rocket Mortgage Classic. So obviously, if that happens, that's a huge windfall. So everyone's rooting for it to happen. Hasn't happened yet. In the first 2 years, it has not happened, but obviously that hole-in-one is the tricky part.
Yeah, and it looks like Phil, too. I keep going back to him because it just seems like he's just like a really down-to-earth, nice guy that you could just walk up to like you were able to do and just talk to him.
No, and he is. And it's the rules here are a little, obviously we're coming out of COVID and everyone's trying to take the proper precautions. The PGA Tour is making sure that everyone's, doing things the right way so no one, gets sick or has any problems here. But he was just really approachable. And he could have been a little bit more, no, I'm not doing anything, please, stay back and all that stuff. But he didn't. And I think that just goes to show that he understands his importance, the growth of the game to the development of the game. And these guys, they're humble guys. Golf's a humbling sport. So I liken them a lot to like IndyCar and NASCAR drivers. They know that the fan base is the blood of what they do. And, if nobody watches golf, then the tournaments don't get as much money and they get paid less. So
right.
The more excitement they have around their name and their brand and the accessibility. I just saw Bryson tee off on 10 and he just stopped by and signed a kid's hat. He was wearing a Puma hat. And, that's what these guys understand.
Right. Hello? Okay. Jay Rose, are you still with us?
I am with you. Hello.
Okay, hello.
Hello?
Hello. Yes. Well, good. And I want to ask you this too. So what does the course look like? Obviously, there's been a lot of rain that's been coming down over the last couple of days, last week and a half. And so what does the course look like? And what have the players been saying about the course?
Well, it's in great shape. It's a little wet because of the rain. We're not supposed to get any, if any, today and the rest of the weekend. But scores are going to be low. Like, look for this winner of this tournament to be around 15, 16, maybe 17 or 18 under over a 4-day cycle. It's playable. I've played it recently. It's one of those courses where if you stay out of trouble and you putt well, you're going to score well. And you're talking about the best in the world doing it. So I expect this to be a really fun tournament. Hopefully a little bit more exciting than the past 2 years have been. They've been kind of runaways, but we'll definitely see some low scores and some great golf over the next couple of days.
Yeah, hands down. It's going to be really riveting, I think, especially too just because of the field with 13 past major winners in this. And so I really appreciate you taking the time because I know that you're still out there. And then just give everybody an idea too of what you're doing out there the rest of the day.
Well, today Calvin's about to walk off the green, so I'm going to talk to Calvin. I'm going to talk to some of the other participants of the Pro-Am today. We'll talk to some of the players as they get kind of ready, because tomorrow it counts. It's all fun and games the first couple days. They're having fun, playing around, meeting each other, joking, but it gets serious as this starts to become much more real, because who wouldn't want to win $1.3 million? I know I would be loving that, but I'd super be zoned in as it gets closer. So it's going to be a lot of fun. If you have a chance to get down here, I think there's some tickets still available somewhere. But at the same time, I also take a look at it on TV. And, of course, Audrey Dahlgren and Nick Mantis on WLNS will provide all of the great coverage you need in mid-Michigan.
Hey.
We have you. We are there. Is that right?
We are here for you. We are here for you, Jay Rose.
We're here for you. There it is.
All right. Well,
That's
go
what it is.
Have fun interviewing Calvin. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you, odds.
All right. Jay Rose, Justin Rose from WXYZ in Detroit right there. Great to have him on. As we mentioned, this is just a great tournament for the city of Detroit in so many different ways. And so, all eyes are going to be on Detroit this weekend for the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Okay, we're going to take one more quick break, but when we come back, we're going to check in on some more pros in Detroit. The Tigers were rained out yesterday in Cleveland for Game 2 against the Indians, and there's a lot we need to fill you in on ahead of today's doubleheader. We'll be back.
Thinking of a new air conditioning unit for your home? Hi, Peggy Doty with Doty Mechanical. A new Carrier high-efficiency AC unit will lower your energy usage and increase your home comfort. Current Carrier Cool Cash offers and available utility rebates mean your savings have never been better.
Call Doty Mechanical today at 327-7777 or visit us at dotymechanical.com for your free estimate. For heating and cooling, the names to know, Doty Mechanical and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
Live across the Great Lakes State, you're connected to Michigan's most engaging and influential radio and television program, Michigan's Big Show, starring Michael Patrick Shields.
Great to be with you, Michael Patrick. You're the show I would want to be on. Forget those other ones.
Michael Patrick, it's always a pleasure to be on the air with the K&B Airways. Thanks for having me on again. That's a very good question.
Those are all great questions. Good morning.
Thank you. Michigan's Michael Patrick Shields.
Boyne Golf presents Michigan's Magnificent 10. 10 extraordinary courses set among 3 incredible resorts with plenty of wide open spaces where the extra long days let you play and play and play. And when you're done, a variety of amenities and charming towns await. The golf's so varied, the accommodations so welcoming, each visit's a new experience. So visit BoyneGolf.com to plan your time here. That's BoyneGolf.com.
Moderna says its 2-dose vaccine is showing promise in a lab setting, protecting against COVID-19 variants. That includes the highly contagious Delta variant. The company's announcement comes as the Delta strain spreads rapidly all around the world, including in the U.S. Mayor Bill de Blasio says New York City employees, they can go unmasked after the July 4th break, provided they've been vaccinated. De Blasio calls it the right time to do this, adding that the goal is basically to have offices back to normal by September.
We want to do this because it's the right time to do it. People are ready. We want to do this to set the pace for everyone else.
He notes that vaccinated city workers also don't have to socially distance. Unvaccinated workers will continue to mask up and socially distance. Health updates, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
I'm Tony Cuthbert with your Spotlight Sports Update. The Tigers and Indians will play a straight doubleheader today after last night's game was rained out. Detroit sends Jose Urena to the hill against Cleveland's Cal Quantrill in the first game. In the series finale, Willie Peralta gets the nod for the Tigers while the Indians counter with Logan Allen. Lou Williams scored 21 points as the Hawks took down the Bucks 110-88 in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals in Atlanta. Hawks star Trae Young was out as he battles a foot injury, while Bucks superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo exited the game in the second half with a hyperextended left knee. The series is tied at 2 games apiece. Game 5 will be Thursday in Milwaukee. Tonight, the Suns look to close out the Clippers in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals in Los Angeles. And the Lightning will look to take a commanding lead in the Stanley Cup Final tonight when they face the Canadiens in Game 2 from Florida. Tampa Bay won Game 1 5-1 over Montreal.
Welcome back to the Audrey Dahlgren Show.
It's my team. It's my quarterback.
The Spotlight Radio Network.
At 4:10 today, the Detroit Tigers and Cleveland Indians will begin Game 1 of their straight doubleheader after Game 2 was postponed due to rain. Shocker, right? This has been really rough for us, actually, in a sense, the last couple of weeks when it comes to sports on the Channel 6 side at WLNS, because events have been getting postponed or rained out, and it's traditionally more of a slower time, which we talked about yesterday on the show, because there's just this is the time in sports where there's a little bit of a lull. So anyways, when the Tigers and stuff don't play or other things get postponed, we're kind of just like, well, what are we going to talk about here? David gets a little bit more time sometimes because it makes sense. His weather cancels our sports. So anyway, Jose Urena, he's going to get the ball in Game 1 since he was supposed to start last night. And Willie Peralta is a projected starter for Game 2 for Detroit. And the Tigers are definitely looking to bounce back after getting pummeled in Game 1. 13-5 by the Indians, and rookie Matt Manning found out real quick that he's going to really have to beef up his arsenal of pitches because the Indians were jumping all over his four-seam fastball. It was only his third start of the year for Detroit, but his worst one. He was done after 3 2/3 innings of work, giving up 9 runs in the process. And remember, Alex, when Cody Stavenhagen from The Athletic came on the show and he was mentioning how, that was going to be Manning's problem. is that he needed to be able to find more in his arsenal than just his four-seam fastball, because Cleveland's a really aggressive team at the plate, and I mean they were just launching those balls out of the park at Progressive Field against him.
Oh yeah, I mean major league hitters can hit fastballs. That is no question. You're gonna have to mix it up. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of velo you have; those dudes can catch up. So if you're not keeping them off balance, at least a little bit. Like you said, we're going to have the outcomes that we had the other night, and the ball will be going far.
Yeah, and, it's, like I said, it's just a process for him. It's his third start, so he's going to learn. He's going to progress. You're seeing that same situation happen with Tarek Skubal and Casey Mize. They've been growing. They've been learning. They've been progressing, getting themselves adjusted to playing at the major league level. So it takes time. Like anything in life, there's a process to it. Unfortunately, a lot of people wish that they could skip a couple of steps. Know that I've been guilty myself of thinking times that I should just skip some steps. But then you take a step back and you realize, okay, that happened for a reason, and so forth. And so that's my assessment for what it will be like for Matt Manning. Anyways, the Indians do have a lot of offensive prowess at the plate, and as a unit, they are slugging .395, and Eddie Rosario is on a 14-game hitting streak. But before the game was postponed yesterday, manager A.J. Hinch was asked how he thought Urania was going to handle the Indians' lineup, just because he has been struggling as of late. And Hinch, he doesn't think that he's going to have the same problems that Manning had, because the Indians knew Manning's approach and sort of tailored themselves around it. As for Jose Urania, when I mentioned that he's been struggling as of late, Alex, I'm going to want to pull up his stats from his last two starts, because he's allowed at least more than 5 runs in each of those starts. So just give me 1 second, and we'll be able to break it down a little bit further when it comes to Urania. Okay, so for those wondering, his win-loss record is 2-5. His ERA away, so for example, Tigers are away tonight to face the Indians, is 4.83. And over the last 2 starts, so against Houston, which would have been his most recent start, he was only able to pitch 3 2/3 innings, allowing 8 hits, 4 runs. And then prior to that, on the 18th of June against Los Angeles, the Angels, 4.1 innings, 7 hits, 7 earned runs. Prior to that, against the White Sox, who the Tigers just cannot figure the White Sox out whatsoever. Both losses to both of those back-to-back starts against the White Sox. The last one, though, was a little bit rougher because 1.2 innings and 7 runs.
Yeah, not exactly what you were looking for. No. I don't know if this is breaking news, but this was announced today, too, and I'm not sure if you saw it, but Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green, both highly regarded prospects in the Tigers organization, have been selected to the All-Star Futures game.
Okay.
For this season. Yep. So we have 2 Tigers in the farm system that'll be attending that. And, I mean, I guess when you're in a rebuild situation like the Tigers are in and that are desperate for hitting prospects, it's good to see that 2 of their top ones are making a mark in the lower level. So hopefully we'll be able to see those 2 faces soon.
Yeah, and they've been rising up pretty quickly. You know, Spencer Torkelson did not spend hardly any time in West Michigan with the Whitecaps before being promoted. And so, yeah, it's nice to see that, if they're elected to the All-Star Future games, which is All-Star Futures game. Yeah, that's very good to see. I know a lot of people are really looking forward to these guys potentially getting up with the big league club. I think Jason Nick's always retweeting.
He's on the Riley Green train for sure. I mean, I think I am too. I mean, I think at this point he's 20 or 21 years old. Definitely a little young, but he's been in the pro system for a year or 2 now, and man, he shows flashes of brilliance. I think he'll be just as good of a defensive player as he is offensively. And I'm thinking that, I'm hoping that'll be a guy that we'll have in the Tigers organization for a long, long time.
Yeah, he is 20 years old, so
plenty of time still. I mean, I guess you would be pushing it a little bit to bring him up now, and I guess the argument would be what for, other than the fact that to bring a little of excitement to the Tigers. But I mean, you're not playing for much this season. I don't think, at least. I mean, there's some people that believe if they could really turn it on, they could maybe sneak into a wild card spot. But I'm not in that club. But so I don't know if you need to rush them. But man, as a Tigers fan, that is just hoping for some fresh, new offensive talent in the lineup that we can get excited about. It would be great to see one of those guys up by the end of the year.
Yeah, it'd be really hard for Detroit to. Crazier things have happened. You do see Major League Baseball teams that do get hot and they'll go on this huge winning streak. But right now, the Tigers, they're 34-45 with about 13 games left before the All-Star break. So they would have to win just to get, and they wouldn't even be at 50 wins at the All-Star break if they were to win out. They'd be like they'd be 3 or 2 games short of having 50 wins by the All-Star break.
Yeah, they would have to turn into one of the best teams of baseball. And like I said, they just don't have that in their arsenal. I mean, to go on a winning streak like that, I mean, usually it takes an offensive explosion because obviously the pitching needs to be there. But even if you get good pitching, that's not guaranteeing wins either. So, I mean, it's got to be a mixture of both. And they just don't have that type of arsenal. So, I mean, the pitching that is there, there's obviously a lot of excitement for the future of the pitching staff with the Mize, with Torkelson. I mean, but I'm not Torkelson. Screwball. Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Sorry. But
you're fine.
just mixing up names now with all these prospects. But I mean, yeah, there's a pitching staff that's a lot of excitement for, and I think we have some guys that are established. But it's like I said, it's really, really good to see that these 2 prospects that we've all been kind of waiting for are taking those strides in development.
Yeah, Spencer Torkelson, I mean, he didn't even get the opportunity because that's how quickly he was gone. The Whitecaps, I mean, they were supposed to come here, I believe, to play the Lugnuts. I think that was, hold on. I'm going to look again. I don't want to say something that's not right. Okay, yeah, so there it is. So the Lugnuts went to West Michigan last month, and the Whitecaps are coming here in July over the 20th through the 25th. And so, yeah, Spencer, he's already gone. So I think a lot of people were looking to and excited. I know a lot of people were looking to and excited for that series in July. But, yeah, he's gone already. So, sorry. Lo siento.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's also something that we were hoping to see. You don't want your number 1 overall pick to get stuck in single A for too long. I mean, yeah, baseball is weird too with the AA, AAA because it really is AA is the spot to be. I mean, if you're an up and coming prospect, the AA that seems like to be the league that they want those guys, and where as you would think from a casual fan like standpoint, that AAA would be, the spot to be, but really that kind of tends to be like the replacement level players and some of the veterans and stuff like that you can bring on up. But no, both of these prospects in AA, that's kind of where you want them to stay until they're up at the Tigers organization.
Yeah, and I don't think that Spencer Torkelson was really thrilled to be in West Michigan.
No, that needed to be a short stint. I mean, from a confidence standpoint, from just from an overall optic standpoint, I mean, you can't have your number 1 just buried in single A for too long. I mean, it's fine to have him there for a few weeks, but it's good to see that was an expedited process and that he was in and out and now thriving in AA.
Yeah, you could see too when he initially did the media availability the first day in Grand Rapids, and he was just kind of like, "Yeah, I'm here, but I don't want to stay here."
Yeah, this isn't the spot that I want to be hopefully for very long.
Right,
yeah.
and he wasn't. So Yeah, he has moved on and making his way up the ranks. It is interesting, though. I guess I never thought about it from that perspective of how AAA would be a place where, they really wouldn't want to be, or maybe AA is better because.
And I don't really know. Keep going.
Well, just because the guys who are on the 40-man roster are sometimes, as you mentioned, veteran players that have to go back down for 10 days on the IL, or you know what I mean, or they're coming back from a rehab stint, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, it is weird that it's aligned that way, but I guess it's just kind of the way that it is, where most of your up and coming prospects, your young guns, the dudes that you want to develop and bring up as long-term stays are just, for whatever reason, our AA seems to be the spot to be. And then, that AAA is typically, from what I've seen, is just kind of your replacement level guys, your veterans, the people that you can bring up on a 10-day if somebody gets hurt or things like that. But so, I guess just from don't get caught up in, they're only at AA. Like, they still have 2 stages to go. That's not necessarily the case. They can make that leap right from AA to the majors, and that happens quite often.
So there is a chance that Riley Green or Spencer Torkelson could just jump AAA and go up to big league club.
No doubt.
That would be quite a sight to see. I think. But, because there were a lot of Cardinals. There were a lot of Cardinal players in a similar situation. There were a couple times where Yadier Molina went to AAA team. It was in Illinois for the Cardinals. It was in Illinois. That was not that far away. And I think that's the case for Detroit's AAA team. I don't think it's too far from Detroit.
No, right in Toledo. So
because if you do get that call up, you don't want to have to be traveling across the country. It's usually they need you right then in there, so it makes a lot of sense. I don't know. It's always interesting to me too, because even though the Tigers have been struggling, and they do struggle, everybody talks about them every single night. Everybody watches them pretty much every single night. Like it's always on. It's always a thing, and that just speaks to the history and to the greatness of the Tigers. The Tigers traditionally is a storied franchise, and that was one thing that, with going back to the golf conversation of the Rocket Mortgage Classic and Phil Mickelson mentioning how Detroit is just such a great sports town, so why wouldn't we want to come play here and support Detroit?
Yeah, no, that is great to hear, and Detroit is a storied spot, but right now. This might be the darkest it's ever been. So it's easy to get caught up into thinking that it'll never be where it was again. But I think we have, and not just for the Tigers, but I think for a handful of franchises that I think we're just a few years away from finally getting back to some excitement and some meaningful games in Detroit from a professional standpoint. Because, I mean, really think about it. When's the last meaningful game in all 4 of the sports that we've played in? I mean, it's been a couple years since they've really played in a high stakes.
I mean, situation. The Pistons made the playoffs 2 years ago
with Blake Griffin, but you knew they were scratching and clawing to get swept, and so I guess those would probably be the last time. And if you spoke to most fans, I think they would have thought that those were almost as meaningless too, just because they knew what that outcome was going to be.
Right. And you make the playoffs, but it's not really like you're contending for anything.
No, when you're scratching and clawing and your ceiling is to be the 8th seed, that's not the spot that they want to be. And that's where, honestly, where the Pistons had been for the previous 5 years until Weaver came in and kind of blew things up and rebuilt this thing the way that it's supposed to. And it's going about as good as it can go right now. I obviously just got the number 1 pick. And found a few rookies and players that they can hang on to for years to come. So the Pistons are probably in the top spot right now in terms of the quickest to return. Right. But when you're hearing Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, they're having good seasons, and then you have the success of the pitching staff, the young pitchers on the Tigers. They're probably not too far behind.
Right. And if you missed yesterday's episode, we did have James Edwards on from The Athletic, and we talked a lot of Pistons basketball with James, particularly when it came to Jeremy Grant making the USA men's Olympic basketball team, but also a lot of good stuff about Troy Weaver. And I thought James did a really nice job of, describing why, even let's say there's a high chance that they're not going to pick away from Cade Cunningham.
Mm-hmm.
But if they do, trust Weaver.
That's that was where I think James hit it on the head, because it's really not about are they going to take Cade, are they going to take Jalen, or are they going to take Mobley, and trying to decide, because from the fan standpoint, we don't watch these workouts, we don't see all the tape that they see and all this stuff. Really, what you need to have is just, do you have faith that he will make the right pick? And if that, so I'm in the boat where, yeah, if I had to make the pick today, I'm taking Cade Cunningham. Mm-hmm. It's the safest route. He's got every tool. I don't think he's going to be a miss. But if Troy Weaver decides that he thinks Jalen Green's going to be the next Kobe Bryant, and with his track record, even dating back to OKC, and then obviously in his 1 year and his one draft at the Pistons, hitting on all 4 picks. You have to give him the benefit of the doubt, if you're a Pistons fan, that he's going to take the best player available, even if it's not the guy that we think is the best player available.
Right. And James had another good point too when it came to Weaver, and how he's never really met someone who just studies players the way, and like the educational aspect, and when it comes to knowing these players, he does his homework. Yeah, and clearly as he should, because he's general manager of a huge franchise. And
there's a ton of evidence of that too, just obviously with his drafts and things like that. But not even just the drafts, but the signing of free agents. And obviously it's easy to look at Jeremy Grant, but then you bring in guys like Josh Jackson, who kind of resurrected his career here in Detroit, and it has proven himself to be, a rotational piece. And then guys like the Hamidou Diallo from that they got out of the Svi Mykhailiuk, that trade. Just recognize, not just the recognizing players that are coming into the draft, but recognizing and evaluating talent that's already here, and being able to acquire good free agents and players that maybe haven't scratched the surface of what they can become. And then obviously Jeremy Grant as well, but I think he's got a keen sense of what a player is and what they can do in this league, and that's exactly what you want as a general manager.
Yeah, absolutely. And talked to a couple of times how AJ Hinch is, putting the Tigers on a track. He's not general manager of the franchise, but he has brought a new sense of life and resurgence to the Detroit Tigers in that aspect of just kind of maybe thinking differently, or doing things, just because we did it this way for so long doesn't mean that it has to continue to go like this, or just kind of like the no BS approach to the game, and treating the players with respect, so that they know that, because that's huge, having the respect portion between in professional sports with whoever the coach is and the athlete.
Yeah, and especially in baseball too. There's only really so much you can do to really put your print in terms of a result standpoint and how these guys perform. But what you can do, and like what you alluded to, is create a culture and create a winning mindset. And what I have noticed from the Tigers, and obviously they're not the greatest team, but they're not making the dumb mistakes that they used to make. They're not running bases terribly. They're not. They just play the right way, and yeah, maybe they don't have the talent, but they're not. You're not watching bad baseball like we have seen a couple of years where I'm watching guys make decisions on base paths where I'm going, I wouldn't have made that decision at 12U, and these guys are just making mental mistakes that at that level are just inexcusable, which we don't see anymore. And I think there is a winning culture that's kind of getting brewed in the Tigers. And that's what, that's really all. Obviously managing the X's and O's and the pitching rotation and things like that's important too. But really where I think a manager, makes his money is instilling a culture. And it seems like he's done that.
Yeah. And also, and I'll be curious too, to see how Dan Campbell does with his new culture. And that's also from just what I've taken away from press conferences or some other things, is that he's doing that as well. So that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, we'll have to dive into that.
Yeah, especially too with Lions football will be coming up pretty quickly as well. So that does it for today's show. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. It is Wednesday. Yes, it's Wednesday. And we will see you back here tomorrow.
Hi, this is Kristen Belzer, and I am the host of Connect with KB. I've spent my career building relationships and connecting people. My work with local and state chambers, state government, and now the life of an entrepreneur with my business, KB Collaborative. The mission of my podcast is to bring out the best in people, to highlight